So this is forum number one. I'll be starting off discussing the Freedom Trail. The location of the Freedom Trail is in Boston, Massachusetts. It is 16 connected historical buildings that either have to do with the establishment of America as a country or the American Revolution. The theme of the Freedom Trail is to educate people about the historical significance of the city of Boston and the locations on the trail. The people who work on the Freedom Trail Foundation, have made it their priority to make the Freedom Trail accessible to others. Not only do they do this in a way where you clearly know what buildings are on the Freedom Trail, not only by the signs that were originally put up in 1953 pointing to the other buildings, but the red line on the ground that was put up in 1958 to help guide people walking the Freedom Trail to their next location. So not only do they do that, but the Freedom Trail is also very accessible to people because of the way the information is presented and taught. Students need to be able to see these buildings firsthand. They need to be immersed in the history, and the Freedom Trail does this by using what they call an interpreter, or somebody who is in period clothing, passionate about the period and very well informed, and really can put you in that sense of, okay, I'm standing in Paul Revere's house, here's exactly what it would have been like. Any question I have that might suspend my disbelief of where I am right now, this person can answer. So I think that the Freedom Trail does a really good job and is a very valuable educational tool for a field trip for students. Moving on to Poplar Forest. Poplar Forest is an interesting location because it really doesn't have much historical significance in the way of the founding of the country. Poplar Forest was built in Virginia to be Jefferson's retreat post-presidency. The theme of Poplar Forest is to show people not only the architectural marvels of the building and how it's many firsts in architecture in American history, but also to help fill in the gaps about Jefferson and his retirement, which I think a lot of people, they don't really consider what a president does once they're done. You know, just because they're done being president doesn't mean they don't have an impact. Poplar Forest does a great job of telling public history physically. And it would make a good field trip site because the kids could go there and they could see the history in physical form. They could see how the people who run the location built it from the ground up using the same techniques and strategies, which would be very valuable for somebody interested in that kind of thing. Last but not least, we have the Capitol Rotunda, and we'll start with the portrait of Washington on the ceiling. The goal of this, in my opinion, is to inspire the people who are standing there to see that America's foundings was very driven by God. Putting Washington at the forefront of the piece and putting him in a very godly manner is supposed to inspire American pride while looking at it. As far as historiography goes, I believe that this is very consensus and very Republican at the same time, to get these people to feel pride for being American and American values. As far as Statuary Hall goes, I believe that this is important because the statues show people more about the important people from each state, helping them connect their own personal values and personal experiences to history through seeing, okay, here is somebody from my state, here's why they're important. They go down as one of the most important people in American history. So I think that that's very important as well because it helps, once again, immerse people in what they're seeing, and they're not just reading a fact and saying, oh, that's cool, and moving on. They're remembering where they were. They're taking pictures next to their statues from their state. And I think it's important because it really helps build the connection with the material that children need to be successful.